we always said in Black Panther Party that they can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips that I am a revolutionary.
These are the voices of New Africa. These are the voices of New Africa. These are the voices of New Africa. Free in the land, and we ain't asking y'all. There we go. All right. Ren, you on there too? Yeah, there we go. Welcome to another episode of the Voices of New Africa, the show where we educate the uneducated and re-educate the miseducated. And I'm your brother, your host, Brother Prophecy, and I got my comrade Kayi and our grandmaster teacher of Adali riding with us. And we are part of something called the New African Independence Movement. That's what we advocate for: land independence, self-determination. We're trying to get reparations, and we're trying to build an economic system that is not based on the exploitation of man by man. In other words, that exploitive system that is really devastating the entire world right now. And we call that capitalism, but we ain't trying to build that. We're trying to do something different. We're trying to create a world and a society where everybody can rise to their highest level of human potential. But might as well jump straight into the show today because we got a good topic. I think it was Friday, we wrapped up early voting for the mayor election in Memphis, Tennessee, and a lot of people, getting excited about that. It's like 17 candidates, and just voting in general, you're starting to hear a lot of buzz about that, including our own elections at the Republic of New Africa, which will be going on the first weekend in November 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I do believe. But we want to talk about that. Voting. We want to ask the question: is voting actually the key to our liberation? Is participating in these elections really the key to the liberation of our people? Is that going to change the condition of our people? Because you hear people all the time say things that are really incorrect, like you got to go out and vote because your ancestors died for that, and all of that type of stuff. So, Grandmaster T, I'm going to bring you in.
Okay, so when we talk about vote, we didn't die for voting. We died for our freedom. And some of us thought that, by voting, by becoming part of the U.S. Electoral College and all those things, would be one that would allow us to become free as a people. So therefore, but when we go back and look at the history of voting, and even in the United States, just in the United States, you can go back to 1865, in which black men in the United States were in the 15th Amendment given the right to vote, and black men became Republicans, in the South, because the Republican Party, won in the Civil War, and So basically, if we go back and look at the voting, we see that Mississippi is the only state that had two black senators in the whole era of Reconstruction. That was in 1870 and 1875. Hiram Revels was the first senator in Mississippi in 1870, and then Blanche Bruce became the second senator in 1875. So Mississippi had two black senators, and you don't have any repeat of that, in terms of black people being senators until 1972, and which the brother up in Massachusetts became the first black senator during that period. Presently, there's only three black senators that's in the Senate, and so and the House of Representatives, you had a number of people who were in the House of Representatives during that period of time, by 1865 up until 1877. In 1877, the black vote became eliminated in the South, and black leaders, political leaders, were being assassinated, they're being massacred, in places like Colfax, Louisiana, and other areas of the South, in South Carolina and different places, and where we had majorities in Louisiana and in Mississippi and Georgia and basically the 5 states that we're talking about had majority population, and so that's why we started to stand on having a new nation based on the 5 states, and basically during that period of time, they couldn't even get 40 acres in a mule made a law, during the so-called radical Republicans during that period of time in the 1860s and 1870s. And during this period of time, we saw that the Republican Party had control over the black vote during that period of time. And I think the last black congressman was like in 1897 during that period of time. And you only started beginning to have representatives in places like Illinois and in the 1920s. But actually, it took another century to 1965 when you had the Voting Rights Act, and now we have more than 40 black representatives in the so-called House of Representatives and only 3 in the Senate. But we have not received any benefit from us supporting these parties. As a matter of fact, the Democratic Party, which was a party of slavery, became the so-called party of so-called African Americans. New Africans began to, move away from the Republican Party that had betrayed them in 1877 by trying to bring Roosevelt and Kennedy. Kennedy actually was doing Kennedy, where most black folks turned over from being Republicans to being Democrats, and the Democrats basically and the Republicans became the party of slavery. In other words, the whites moved to the Republican Party, and black folk moved to the Democratic Party. And during that period of time, it was called the Second Reconstruction. And what we find is, in this period where we had black mayors and even had a black president later on, we find that we have less power, less resources, and less of everything that we had even during the period of slavery. With the conditions and the rights of the people have, because when your enemy gives you rights, they can take them back. And that's what they have done. They've done it in 2 dramatic instances in the 1877 and now in the 2000s. They have taken back. They have, reneged on whatever promises that were made. And so what we're doing is we got two. Okay, like the United States voting system is a system that says you got to vote for the lesser of 2 evils. And we as Africans, we can't vote for evil. We need to break away and move to the Republic of New Africa voting system, and by which we're going to begin to have a vote that Africans show, New Africans in the United States show that they don't want to be a part of the political system of the United States of America, and they want to have their own self-determination, and that we're going to be voting for our interests and our power. And the thing about it is, even if you're talking about voting is about empowerment. We do not have a power in this system, and we're only going to have power when we empower ourselves and go to create that government that we will be self-governing, and we like all the other people in the world. And so I think it's important that I don't vote. That's my decision that I made. But I know all remedies have been exhausted in America, and voting will never give us the power that we need as a people to develop ourselves, develop our resources, get control of our communities, and get control over our institutions. And it's only through us not participating, if we possibly can, but for those who are going to continue to participate, who have become, who want to just be a part of America. We don't have anything to do with that. But for the young people, who many of who have decided for the right, made the right decision, and have made a decision not to participate, that was a right decision. And that's a right decision for me, because I know that I will never vote for the lesser two evil. I'll never vote for evil. And the United States is evil, an evil government, and the European governments that exist in the world are evil places, and there are evil people who are doing things to us and trying to commit genocide.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, it's a whole. It's you would think that at some point you would look at the situation where they're saying, okay, we have this choice. We have Satan and the devil in front of us. Pick which one you want to be your next oppressor. That we would realize that that's not a real choice. That we can do better than that, and we should do better than that. We should demand better for basically for ourselves. Uh, with that, and that is definitely a correct choice and a correct decision. You got anything to add, comrade Kakayi? I want to welcome everybody to the show. Make sure y'all are dropping a line with us. Hit that like button. But comrade, you got anything you want to add to the show, to this conversation about voting?
Well, voting in and of itself um, has some misnomers for new Africans. It really hasn't proven to be an instrument or vehicle in which we can use to change things for the betterment of our people and our people alone. It always comes down to, if we're talking about doing something for ourselves, it's not right and it's not fair for us to do something for ourselves. And that's because we're in a system that's controlled by people who have other agendas and other goals and objectives to fulfill. When we come to the realization that within the system all remedies have been exhausted, we'll still have a few of our people thinking that we should vote because it means something. It doesn't mean anything if we don't control the resources in which this system is saying we can have if we vote. We don't control those resources. So even though we go through the steps and maneuvers and processes that they put in place in their system of oppression to oppress us and help us to believe that it's the right thing to do, at the same time, they can take control of the resources at the end of the day and say, we're going to do something different. Even though we voted a person in place, we voted the senator, the representative, the mayor, the city council, or whatever. At the end of the day, the resources that need to be brought to the forefront to help our people out is controlled by somebody else. And they have the ultimate decision to do or not to do. And they'll give us crumbs along the way to confuse us that this is the right thing to do. But at some point, as a people, we must all collectively understand that all remedies have been exhausted, and we should be doing something for ourselves. We should be voting for the election of that the provisional governor of the Republic of New Africa is offering us, so that we can begin the process of making sure that we do things for ourselves. If you notice, at the end of the day, when we do the voting, it's always a plethora of issues and concerns that need to be fixed that benefit white people. And on the underbelly, it may be something about black people. That should be a big enough sign for us to know that this system is not for us. It hasn't been for us, and it wasn't made to do anything for us. So um, I'm not a proponent for voting, because when they tricked us into believing that that was something for us to do, they began to massacre and kill us. And Grandmaster Teacher mentioned Colfax. There's a number of different places where they massacred for voting. There's certain things that the United States government has done to facilitate the advancement of that ideology and philosophy about uh, harming and killing us. There's no difference between um, what they've done in the past and what they're doing now. It's just evolved to look a little differently, and the language has changed to protect them from us understanding what they're really doing. So if you still feel that you accomplishing something, I can't take that away from you. But what I can ask you to do, if you feel voting is a major source of getting something done, then vote in the New African Republican, the Provisional Governor Republic of New African election this November, and make sure that you be a part of helping the changes that need to be done in our election, so that you can be a part of our thing as well as the Europeans thing.
Exactly. Go back to something Grandmaster Teacher said when he was calling out to the youth, because there's a lot of young people, a lot of people in general, who just choosing to opt out of the whole voting process because they're fed up with it. Like you said, we can't do better than voting for the lesser of two evils. You don't want to vote for evil period. And so it's a lot of people who are opting out, and as we said, that's a correct decision, but it's not my belief that, just saying, okay, I'm not going to participate, that's all we need to do. Because I think, fundamentally, one of the biggest illusions that we have about voting is that voting is the way that you affect change. You really want to, that's kind of how it's promoted and targeted to us, how it's told to us that, you got to go out, you want to affect change, you want to do something, you got to go out and vote, go out and vote, go out and vote. You know what I'm saying? And then now that we are recognizing that that is not really creating any type of change, any type of real change within our community, many of our people are just opting out. Well, I think one of the detrimental things that the whole propaganda campaign behind voting does is it takes energy, it takes momentum that you might have, the willingness to go out and try to change the condition, change the things that you don't like that's going on, and we takes that energy and it just translates it into a vote. And once we get dissatisfied with that, well, we just don't want to do anything. But there are things that we actually need to be doing. We need to be, I think that instead of putting all that time, energy, resources, and effort into voting, because we spend a lot of time, we spend a lot of energy, we spend a lot of money, raising money for campaigns, doing this and that, but I think we could redirect that energy, redirect that those resources, redirect the money to something that is actually more productive and will actually have a more concrete effect on the day-to-day material conditions of our people. These are things that we can do if we just observe our community, look at our community, and we see that we're suffering because within our community, we lack the resources, we lack the institutions that actually work in our favor. But if we say, okay, instead of having all this voting campaigns and spending money to donate money to voting campaigns, let's donate money to creating a hospital that we control that works on our behalf. Let's create a grocery store, creating farms. Let's create a school that's going to educate our people properly so we can start to create the type of citizens of our nation that's going to go out into the community and build the community up. Let's invest in the most valuable resource that the New African has, that New Africa has, and that is the people. Let's invest in ourselves, opposed to just saying, okay, well, I'm tired of voting, so I'm just not going to do anything. I'm agreeing that, if you're tired of that whole rat race, you shouldn't participate in it. But I'm not in agreement that we should just sit back and do nothing. I think we should play an active role in our liberation, because if we looking for the Savior Sunday, I know a lot of people want to praise and look for the Savior, but the first place you got to find the Savior is in the mirror. So we have to play an active role in the salvation of ourselves. And I'm going to yield on that.
I think that what we're talking about is controlling our community. Wherever we live, we must control our community. But let me say this. People are running for positions. They're not running for power. They're not running to bring anything back to the community. The individuals that we have that are running but just to be in that position. And then they're bringing resources to their sponsors, whoever the ones that, because they're not getting money necessarily from our community to run. They're getting money from the rich and the super rich to run. And so therefore they're bringing the power back to those super rich folks who are running our community and ruining our communities. And so therefore, and I'll take the position of the young people who don't refuse to become a part of that whole process. And then we have to say, what do we replace it with? We replace it with a liberation movement, a movement that talks about controlling our community and controlling the resource and making demands that the monies and stuff be brought back to our community that have been taken out of our community. And these are kind of things that can be done, but it can only be done through organization, through us organizing ourselves and having the organizations in our community. Because if we put somebody in a position, we ought to be able to take them out if they don't do what they promised to do. Okay, so therefore, I'm saying when we talk about the activity of our people, it has to be toward gaining power in the areas of land that we are talking about taking over, and that way we come together as a collective. And see, because politics have become an individual position type of thing, and but they are doing things for those who are already in power. And our musicians in the back in the day used to say, vote for me and I'll set you free. This is the mentality. This is the thing that the individuals that come to our community and want to be in these positions. And then once they themselves as a class are able to gain certain benefits from the system, they turn that system back over to the Europeans that had it in the first that created it in the first place. We see it here in Memphis, where you got a so-called ninth district seat that's supposed to be occupied by Africans, and the Africans have turned it over to the white man Steve Cohen, or turn the mayor position over to the white mayors, and all the things we look at, and that there's nothing coming back from the community to the community from our participation. And then we see these people basically giving billions of dollars, millions of dollars to the budget of Memphis, to these rich and super rich companies and all that, and white women and all the other forces that have gained control over our cities because they gave us so-called civil rights for black folks to vote. Who are we voting for? What are we voting for? Now if we look at all the people who have power in the society, you'll find that they're voting in people to bring stuff back to their community, and so we can go look at it, and then all of them want to identify as being white. Even the Hispanic, the Hispanic white have decided that they're going to be a part of America. Some of those Hispanic are saying, "Oh, we need to send troops over there to the border to keep them other Hispanics from coming in." So these are the kind of things that we had to begin. We had to have a serious talk about instead of saying, well, the politicians. No, these are not politicians. These are people who are enriching themselves by fooling the people into thinking that this is a politic that's going to benefit them. And we got to begin to understand that when we make our move, we're going to have control over the territory, and control over the territory, we can make our break.
Definitely. One thing people always talk about when you're talking about voting is that we have a belief, this idea that the politicians, the people who get into office are actually there to benefit the people, to benefit their constituents, to benefit the individuals that voted them in, that they are responsible and held accountable to these individuals. This is false, and you pointed this out earlier. They are accountable to the individuals who fund them. So if you want to understand, who gets the benefit from the politicians, then you follow the money. That's how you find out what's going on. That's why you understand. That's how you can understand a lot of the moves that these politicians make, because they are funded by certain interest groups and lobbyists, and in order to get into office. And once they're in the office, then that's who they're held accountable to, because they understand that, hey, I got to do what these individuals say, because if not, then they're just going to fund my opponent and I'm going to get out of there. So this whole idea that these politicians are doing something to benefit the people, that's not how it works. They're there to benefit a system that is designed to exploit the people. That's how it is. That's how it's always been. And I want to go to our social media audience. I see some engagement. First of all, thank everybody for joining in. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Share this program with people out there who you uh, who you think may enjoy or may benefit from this type of conversation. And drop a comment. Let us know what's on your mind, and at least your name, so we can converse with you. Melly Queen, I see you checking in. Free the land, comrades and family. How's everyone doing today? Thank you all for joining us today. Definitely thank you for sharing and tagging the show, Melly Queen. No doubt. Miss Susan Rogers, how you doing? Good afternoon, y'all. Free the land, and free the land to you. Definitely, no doubt. Melly Queen, again, thank you for joining us on the New African Broadcast Association, NABA. Check out our other shows. New African Perspective tomorrow, Monday at 1 o'clock p.m. Central Time on Facebook Live, Foundations of the Nation. Thursdays at 10 o'clock a.m. Central Time, Facebook Live, Conversations Between Comrades. Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, Facebook Live, The Truth in Power Corner with Sister Melly Queen herself. That's Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Central Time on Blog Talk Radio. And you could check that show out by calling area code 515-605-9782. That is 515-605-9782. Thank y'all for the support. As always, definitely. Melly Queen, they are trying to do the same thing here. That's in Out of the Web, like they are doing in Mississippi. Keep the status quo and with the racists in control. Exactly. Stephen Biko, how you doing, brother? Stephen Biko Muhammad. He says special interest groups control the politicians. Exactly. Agreed 1,000%. 1,000%. So, we got to get out of that mindset, that misconception that, all you got to do to affect change is go out and vote. Go out and vote. That's like a pacifier. That's a way to keep the people asleep. It's like it's the illusion that you are participating in some kind of political process that's affecting you, when the reality is you're just only you're only a political pawn in the system, in which is allowing it to continue to do the business of the exploitation of the masses. And the more energy you pour into the voting in this particular movements of the system, the more energy you're not putting into a liberation movement that is actually going to bring about some real results for our people. No doubt. Stephen Biko, they are not responsible to the people. Exactly. Free the land to you. Definitely. Babalu Carter, free the land, comrades. Please remind the citizens to reach out to Babalu Carter at African-TBT@yahoo.com for an update on the New African National Election 2023. Definitely. Free land, comrade. That's a reminder. You can reach out to Babalu Carter at African_TBT@yahoo.com. No doubt. And speaking of that, we will have our New African Elections Day. Melly Queen, what's the exact day of our election? Isn't that the November 3rd, 4th, and 5th? I think that's the election. I know it's like the first weekend in November. But yeah, we're gonna have our New African elections going on during that time, and make sure that you all participate. Right now, we have a couple of locations that we have set up that we're going to be polling here in Idlewild City, the African Village is going to be one. You got that address again, comrade? It's like 1245 Valentine.
1225.
I'm sorry, 12.
Valentine.
Yeah, there you go. There we go. So make sure y'all participate in our elections. And let me get you back there, Grandmaster Teacher. Since we're talking about the new African election that will be held, in November, why is it so important that we participate in our own elections?
Okay, because so we're going to have a plebiscite. What is a plebiscite? Plebiscite is when everybody votes on something and they're saying they're part of the nation. And that plebiscite, if we participate in our elections, that would give us more people that are going to be participating, so that we can show the world that we are a self-determined people, that we're looking for self-determination, that we're not just want to be a part of the so-called American empire, and that we're going to come to our own power. Once we have our own power, that's when voting has meaning. Voting does not have meaning unless the people are empowered by their own system that which they are controlling, and they are going to control their destiny, and they're going to create their own economic system that is going to benefit the collective, all of the masses of people. And once we do our own participation, our own elect, then we'll make a move to the United Nations and to the world to declare that we have come to a decision by the masses of our people that we're going to have a republic of New Africa, and not in the provisional government. We're going to cease to be ultimately a provisional government once we get that support from the world community and all the other liberation forces throughout the world since 1945, when the United Nations was created, off of the decolonization supposedly of all the forces that have been controlled by Europeans throughout the world. And so what we're going to do is be able to empower ourselves and to make ourselves a part of the non-white forces of the world who have been exploited, who are being exploited even today, and we're going to gain control. We're going to join the party of forces that are trying to gain control over our land and our resources, so we'll be able to feed our people who have become the most poverty-stricken people in the world, no matter where we are in the world. I'm talking about African people and new African people throughout the world are suffering from the lack of empowerment. But we have to have self-empowerment. That is, the people themselves becoming organized and taking control over those lands in which we are, which we are populating, and be able to control the resources that are on that land.
Take over for a second. Oh, yes. It's a lot to be said
about our history in terms of voting and what we've achieved from voting. We've, through our study, have realized that we haven't achieved anything. We've been misled to believe that it affects the system in a way which benefits us in the long run. And we have seen from social practice that that's not true. What we need to do is exercise those opportunities amongst ourselves and begin to make collective decisions about how we move forward and separating ourselves from this government. They're not going to give us land. They're not going to give us reparations. They're not going to do anything that it constitutes something specifically for the betterment of our people. They may claim that they'll do something, and they'll add the LGBTQT, the white women. We can go on and on historically how they claim that they'll do something for us, and they'll add everyone else in it. And then when it comes to recognizing their command of what is actually done through um, special interest groups, through the funding of candidates in their elections. Um, we have to realize that the system is designed to make it simpler for people who have money to get things done by paying for the people in the elections. And when they win, they're obligated to do what they want them to do because they ultimately had the finances. In this capitalist system, money rules everything, and money is the root of all evil. To a certain degree, we have to realize that most of our people don't come from a background of money. So we're not going to be in a position to dictate to these candidates what needs to be done in our community. So we have to set ourselves aside, our own, not set ourselves aside, that's the wrong term. We have to separate ourselves from them and begin our process of voting for candidates that are in our nation, our national territory, under the provisional government of the Republic of New Africa, and begin to make some changes that are beneficial to us as a whole, as a collective. We don't find that in a system. We have never found that in our system. And for young people, understand that your elders, your forefathers have already discovered that this doesn't work. It only takes it anyone would be a fool to go and experience something that we know is harmful, detrimental, and even fatal in many cases, to continue to do that thinking that you're going to get a different result. It's not going to happen. We have come to the realization that all remedies have been exhausted, and we're trying to make sure that you, the listening audience, understand that all remedies have been exhausted. We must do our own thing. And one of the steps in doing our own thing is participating in the New African elections being held November 3rd, 4th, and 5th, the first weekend of the month.
Definitely, definitely. Um, Go back to our people out there. Babalu Carter again says the Republic of New Africa, the RNA, is also a representative form of government, and voting is important so that the people that speak for you, for the people, I what it mean to say is the people that speak for you um, have your same mindset toward liberty and justice. I think that's what he's saying right there. And that's exactly correct, because when you look at the mainstream politician, I was actually doing, looking at some debates um, about the local election, the mayor election. Is like 17 people running for the mayor position in Idlewild City right now, Memphis, Tennessee. And I was just like, man, looking at these individuals, seeing what they back, none of them really share a mindset, have a mindset of liberation, a mindset of independence, a mindset of doing for self. It's all about pushing the same narratives. And and here in Memphis, one of the big issues that's been going on, police terrorism, the killings of Tyrese Nichols and another brother's been murdered just recently. They released the tape, and a lot of police, just like everywhere in America, they're out of control, especially when it comes to so-called policing, really occupying residents with high populations of new African people. So, but even the people that certain activists around here are championing as being progressive or whatever, still talking about the same rhetoric. We have to support the police. We have to do these things and all of that thing. So it's what Babalu Carter just said is very important. You got to have people that speak for you that actually share your same mindset. Especially when it comes to these very important issues. So I'm with you 1,000% on that, Baba. Also, Millie Queen checking in. She said yes. New African elections will be held the weekend of November 3rd, 4th, and 5th, 2023. Make your New African vote really count. Support the building of your New African nation, the Republic of New Africa. Free the land, and that's what is really about. actually put in your time, your efforts into building something that is actually going to produce a real change, some significant change in our lives, in our communities, so we can build up our communities, family, nation, and race, and so forth. So yeah, thank you for that, Melly Queen. Says also here from Melly Queen. It's that time again. Save the date, March 29th, 30th, and 31st, 2024. Nation Day will be. What was that? It will
celebrating in
Columbus, Georgia. He grandmaster teacher. What you call it? Because I can't do it. So yeah, make sure y'all save that date. Nation Day. It's gonna be on again. Last Nation Day was spectacular. Since we got Babalu Carter on here, one of my favorite parts was something that he did just spontaneously when he just had an impromptu session between the elders and the young people, and just said, he had a group of the youth and said, hey, okay, we got some elders here. Y'all want to know something? Ask us. Here we are. And that was really a beautiful moment, in my opinion, because, we really had an opportunity to converse with a lot of young people, and they had great questions. And it was just good. And that wasn't even something that was planned. That was something that our elder just did on the spur of the moment while we had some downtime. So, it's all to the good. It's something going on with Grandmaster Teacher Mike. I can't get him back plugged into. Yeah, but you're listening to the Voices of New Africa podcast, part of NAVA. We actually having a little bit of technical difficulties, so just bear with us momentarily as you can, if you can. But yeah, we're talking about voting. Is voting the key to the liberation of our people? That's what they tell us in this mainstream media, that you got to go out and vote, affect change the only way you can. There you go. And then I'm going to yield on that. I'm going to turn it back over to you, Brandon.
Okay, yeah. So 17 people running for mayor. They're running for positions. They are running for power. Even when you talk about power, it would seem that the people who are saying they're going to do something for our community need to come together and decide on who is going to be running for that position. Mm-hmm. And so when we look at that whole situation, the whole scenario, it shows that they have no other reason for running than to be in that position, so that they can do the bidding of our colonial masters. And so once we see that, then we see everywhere in America where there have been black mayors and black, councilmen and black whatever. We find a lack of interest because all of these people are not running for our interest. They're running for their own particular individual interest to be in a post. And what we have to do is organize ourselves where we can't go on a system, because if we go on a system, we'll allow them people to stay in those positions, and lying like they're doing something for us. So we have to. That's why we're emphasizing organizing our communities, organizing the collective in our communities, so that if somebody gets in that position of mayor or whatever, and they claim that they're working for us, and we find they're working for them, we're gonna put them out immediately. We should pull them out of those positions, and that way we'll show that we don't have any belief in the system. So therefore, what we're going to do is take control of our own community, and we're going to rule ourselves, and we're going to pick our own representatives to help us move to the Republic of New Africa. Yeah, so we can move in a position of having real power, and that's the only way that we're going to do. And our national identity, we are a nation of people. We are New Africa. We are Africans, and so and we're going to be trying to get our people to understand the African interest is not to be a part of the United States government, not to do the bidding of the United States government. The United States government is the worst empire in the world. It is doing everything to bring suffering to all kinds of people. And I think we're talking Well, they got all that oil, and people are not able to feed themselves in Venezuela because the United States have imposed a embargo and have seized control of whatever oil that the Venezuelans have been trying to sell to the world to help their own people. And so you got hundreds of thousands and millions of Venezuelans making their way up to the United States because they can't survive in their own country because the United States has taken away the right to their own economy by holding the oil and so we can see the power of the United States in terms of the rich and the super rich in the world is to keep people from understanding socialism and to understand socialism is in their interest and that as an economic system, capitalism is a bankrupt system. It's a voluntaristic system that feeds off of the blood and tears of the common people. Nations that
hold on, wait a minute. Your mic just went off.
I can hear it.
You can hear it. Yeah, you can hear it now because it's through my mic, but something going on with your particular mic. And I don't really know why it's doing that because we'll put it like this. It's gonna come on. We just continue his thought because basically when you're looking at voting and trying to be a part of this system and working within the system, as we always say, the system is not designed to help the masses of people. The system is designed to help a certain class of people, the rich and super rich, even if that means that the exploitation and detriment of the masses of people. And that's how it has always worked. That is how it was set up to work. And there's no difference right now. The only thing that has changed is the appearance. They try to give the appearance that, we're here for everybody. But the actions, when you really analyze the action, that's just not how it works. And therefore we have to be educated properly because we're not interested in joining a system of exploitation. We're not interested in gaining power or gaining any type of influence within a system that is designed to exploit people. As you pointed out, Grandmaster Teacher, within this system, and I think there you go. Your mic just came back.
Okay. So within this system, we'll never have power. And as Malcolm X and others would say, if you don't have control of land, you don't have no power. And it's only through control of land that we're going to have power. That we got, and we're not going to be able to control land in the so-called United States of America because they have taken the land from the Native people, and the Native people are on reservations right now, even though a handful of them have been able to do casinos and they have become a part of the rich and the super rich by allowance because the Europeans are able to come in and take the bulk of whatever that's in those so-called casinos and things. And so when we look at the people of America, the people that's in America, we're going to find that the rich and the super rich under the capitalist system are going to be the only benefactors, and they're sending us out to go to Afghanistan or wherever other place to protect the American capitalist system, not democracy. We don't have democracy in America. We have hypocrisy. So we want to break away from that hypocrisy and do the true thing that is become a socialist democracy that is going to feed all the people and take care of all the interests of all our people. And this can be done, and we saw what they have done to people, states like Libya and like Venezuela and like Nicaragua and Cuba, and we see that even though these places are most progressive places in the world, and are doing everything they can to educate and feed their people, that the American empire has sent its military forces to boycott or even prevent them from utilizing their own resources. And so this is a test for us to understand that what we got to do is, once we break away, we will become a part of the world of nations, and ultimately the capitalist system will be defeated. Ultimately, we will have a world socialist system in which the people are going to be fed. But as long as we are under the illusion that we will be able to be fed by America and be a part of this American system, then we same result that we've always seen. And this is what we talk about, trying to get the people to understand.
All right, okay. Definitely. And I think one thing that's very important, why it's really important that we have our own educational system, because under the miseducation system of America, we're taught, as you just broke down capitalism, what capitalism actually is, how it operates, how it's used to exploit the people. But under the miseducation system of America, we're taught that capitalism is synonymous with freedom. We would actually believe to a lot of people out there who's not familiar with how we do, what we talk about, especially have a level of political education to understand what we're talking about. Y'all think that, hey, we're treasonous people. We're talking about systems of socialism, things that you have been taught in your school that are great evils and that are synonymous with slavery. But the reality is, this capitalist system is actually takes away freedom. It creates poverty. It creates crime. It creates disease. It creates a disproportionate amount of wealth where you have a few individuals who get super rich and the rest of the people are starving and struggling and fighting over the remaining wealth. I mean, if you just look at the breakdown of the wealth of the world, the top 10% of the population control 90% of the world's wealth. The top 1% control over 40% of the world's wealth. So you have 90% of the population of the entire world having to struggle and fight over 10% of the world's. No, hold on. Did I get that right? Was that 90%? Yeah, of the world's wealth, of the world's population, got to fight for 10% of the world's wealth. That's just like saying, if you have $100, if everybody, you got 100 people, you have 100 people, and all you need is $1 a day to survive. That's all. Everybody needs $1 a day per person, and you have $100, so you have enough money for everybody to survive. But you have 10 people take up 90 of the dollars. They get 90 of the dollars. One person got $40 by himself, and that leaves the remaining 90 people to fight and struggle for the remaining $10. What happens? Basically, if you don't get one of those dollars, then you ain't gonna survive. So you're gonna have violence. You're gonna have conflict. You're gonna have crime. You're gonna have people who are starving. You're gonna have people who are not able to maintain, not able to survive. That is the very nature of the system, and that is what's going on globally. Due to this capitalist system, it has to go. So that's why we're telling you, when you just go out there and say, I don't want to vote to make change and all that, well, you're just participating in a system that is designed to exploit the entire world, and which is creating the havoc and destruction that we see globally. And I see you, Geronimo Wilder, you out there, free the land to you. So when we say all remedies have been exhausted, that means we've tried. We've tried, and from a political analytical level, that's how we judge the system. We don't judge the system based on a few individuals that are put in front of our face to say, oh, look what Oprah did. Look at Jay-Z. Look at all of them. They're successful. They're rich. Look at what you've done, black man. Look at the success that you've done. No, we're looking at what this system is producing. What is it? The same amount of wealth that black people, that African people had in 1865, we got the same amount today. Same amount today. That's no progress. When you look at the amount of resources, and I'm gonna let you jump back in. I see you in there, but you look at You look at the amount of resources, the amount of control, the Black Wall Streets, the things that were created, that were destroyed under this system. You see that our people are not in a better position.
You know, and I just clicked your mic back on, comrade. So I'm gonna let you pick.
Okay. So today, we have less than 1% of the land that we had in 18, like what he was saying in 1860. And even if you talk about trying to do something in America, we would see a benefit, if we saw any progress. But there's been not only not any progress, but we have been taken back further than to the past. So we're not benefiting at all. We're not moving. We're not making any motion. So hey, we're asking all African people in the Western Hemisphere and all the West African people in the United States to become a part of the new African nation, the Republic of New Africa, and join the election process, the real, true election process that will empower us as a people, as a whole people, and not just benefit just a handful of rich folks.
That's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
All right, look like my mic on.
Yeah. We having some technical difficulties. Y'all gotta bear with us, man. I'm sorry. But yeah, we've been talking about voting. Is voting really the key to our liberation, like they like to teach us in school and in the mainstream media? If y'all listening to this, y'all hit that like button. Show us some love, man. I think it help us out with the algorithm or something. Help our show gets pushed out to more people. So if you could just hit that like button real quick, I would appreciate it. But yeah, we're talking about voting, especially during this time of year when you start seeing people that you haven't seen for the last 2, 3, 4 years, and they start giving you all of these promises, telling you, we're going to do this for you, we're going to do that for you, and all of these type of things. And so we're asking the question, is voting really the key to our liberation? Has it really changed the condition of our people? Is that what we should be putting our time and our energies and our efforts into? Or should we be doing, something else? They always tell us, if you don't vote, you're
on the real election.
Yeah. Your mic just came back in, so I'm gonna hush up. Yeah. So I'm gonna let you take over because your mic just.
Okay, so we need to join the real election. That is the election that has been sponsored by the Republic of New Africa on November the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of this year, and we can afford to do this because we know that we are people who are in a quest for power, and so therefore the only way that we're going to get the real power is by joining the real election. And whatever other people are doing in terms of that, nothing is going to change. Because the system is not built for change. And so the Republic of New Africa is the change that we are advocating for you to join us and become a part of that and join the world in terms of contesting the so-called empires, the European empires that are right now dominating the world, and join the other forces that are trying to break that up. Because if we don't break that up, we won't have real power.
No doubt, definitely. And it's been on for
an hour. So we about to get around it here. So, and plus we got all these technical difficulties. So I'm gonna let our people on our panelists give us a final thought. I'm going to you, Grant.
Okay, brothers and sisters who are listening to this broadcast, who participate in this process, we have to pull ourselves together. We have to begin to educate ourselves so that we'll be able to educate those people who are not educated, and we should take the message that we have gotten from this uh, day to on voting, so that we can begin to pull our people and understand that there is an alternative, to the so-called system. As a people, and thinking that this is the only way that we can exist in the world. Man, we see people, millions of people moving from the areas in which they are born to come over this way and become a part. We can move ourselves to our territory here in the Western Hemisphere and join the others throughout the way and contest this huge system together. Because we're not the only ones that are being exploited by this system. So therefore, when we pull together collectively, we're going to join all the other forces who are in the same position that we are in.
Free land. And well, yeah, to add on to that, we have to understand that right now we're in the fun part. It's a lot of work that needs to be done, but it's fun going out to the voting booths and voting for candidates in the provisional government of the Republic of Africa. It's fun going to Nation Day, which is going to be in Dr. John Henry Clark's town in Columbus, Georgia. It's fun being a part of this. Be a part of this. Be a part of nation building. Be a part of building relationships with people who think like you and understand the importance of us having our own. Being a part of that is fun. I'm gonna tell you, we had a great time in South Carolina at Nation Day this past year, and looking forward to having fun in Dr. John Henry Clark's town, Columbus, Georgia, this year.
No doubt, no doubt. And I'll just end it basically like this, because to me, like, what's really fun is when you see institutions like the Uhuru Academy doing such beautiful work educating our youth, and you see the products of that. You see our youth coming in and they're strong new African citizens, they're strong, intelligent, and they're going out to the community and they're building. That's very fun and beautiful to see. It's fun to when we have our community gardens and our farms and they produce the fruit and vegetables, and we're able to provide our people with healthy meals that are supporting our health instead of all of this garbage that they put in the grocery store that has so many chemicals that fill your body up with all kind of chemicals that lead to diseases and and things of that nature. It's fun to see brothers like Dr. Kakayi who have their own institutions of health in how they're able to provide our people with alternative methods of health that can help cure and provide health to our people, opposed to how devastating the institutions of health have been to our people with their means of exploitation. I mean, we can go on and on and on and on, but like, to me, the fruits of nation building is extremely, and I won't just say fun, because there's a lot of hard work. I'm not trying to romanticize things, but the product, the results, that's just a beautiful thing. It is so satisfying and rewarding. So that's in my opinion should be our focus on taking control of our community, building the institutions, including the political institutions, the Republic of New Africa. We need your participation in that so we can be as strong as we possibly can, and we can actually be a part of a real solution, because this system was created and designed to exploit our people. And believe it or not, the more we participate within this system, the more we empower it, and the more we lead to our own exploitation, brutality, and oppression. This system is not a good system. This system is not worthy of us. We can do better. We must do better. And that's what we're all about with the Republic of New Africa and here at the Voices of New Africa. We'll see y'all again next week. Join us tomorrow at 1 o'clock Central Time for the New African Perspective. You'll see Mama Ayo Dele, Vice President Mama Ayo Dele, and President Sama Ott. And we'll continue this conversation. But until then, we love y'all. Free the land. Free the land.
Free the land.
Free the land.
No doubt. See y'all again next week.
I fight for land, independence, and for reparations. We gotta do for self-determination.
Being independent is a very, very good thing because it means that you don't have to be dependent, especially on people who don't like you. I mean, growing your own food, like teaching your own babies our real history, the real truth.
As a people, we are not grown unless we have independence. We are not grown as long as we living under another man's system, operating in his way of things, his laws, and his ordinances that support his rule, actually. So to me, it's not the importance of self-determination and independence. It is mandatory.
Or we could make a change, get off our ass, do something else.